Welcome to the EarthWorks podcast, where our team will share the jargon of carbon with many of the turf friends we've met over the past 35 years.
Hello all and welcome to the EarthWorks podcast. This week I'm your host, Jack Higgins, and spring is in the air, and this is a time for passion, and I could not think of anyone more passionate about what goes on growing grass, growing soil than my man, the Fescue Freak, my old buddy at this point, Mr. Olee Poole. Olee, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, dude, Fescue Freak. Yeah, I say it because like a lot of I've gotten approached a number of times, particularly in the last year, by the professional side. They're like, "Hey, I see that you're buddies with this guy I've been following on Instagram. I see you're friends with him." I'm like, "Yeah, oh, you mean Olee?"
It's amazing how that's one thing I tell people. You never know. Like you start out as a DIY, but you never know how far you will dive into you never know how far you'll dive into this and become, hooked, or how professional you'll be. Like you learn a lot the more you dig.
Yeah. And you've done such a great job at getting quite a big reach. I mean, you run the Fescue Freaks Facebook page, and that's like a whole community. How many people do you have in that group now?
We're 18,000 plus.
There you go, dude.
It's growing pretty good for a private group. Like, it's a private group. We try to keep it nice and clean, educational, because Facebook's bad about talking junk.
Okay.
So we try to keep a good, nice, educational group.
You also, I know personally, monitor bots and and people that just want to come in and talk trash. You make sure that as the admin, you keep that group nice and clean.
Yep. Like one of our deals is you must have an avatar, to be present. I mean, who on Facebook doesn't have a profile picture, or avatar picture.
Yes, you got to have it.
Yeah.
Gotta have it. So, tell me what's going on at the Olee Ranch, man. Like, let's talk about the winter. You guys, you sent me some crazy snow pictures.
Man, we got 14 inches of snow. It was unbelievable for North Carolina, for this part of North Carolina. I haven't seen that much snow in probably my whole lifetime. Like we normally get 3, 5, 6 inches, and
or none, or many winters
or
without anything.
Yeah, but we got 14 inches. It was pretty wild. It snowed for probably a solid 24, 26 hours, and it was pretty. I'll give it that. It was
and did it stick around long? Tell me about and did you get really bad cold weather there like we have up north?
We did. We dropped down to 6 degrees, which I can't remember it being that cold in a long time. I remember some teens, and maybe years ago we got down to maybe like 8 degrees or something, maybe. But it dropped down to 6, which is pretty freaking cold for Salisbury, North Carolina. That's pretty cold. And
well,
snow done a really good job of protecting, the turf during that cold.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good thing you did have it, because I remember you also sending me pictures in like January, the beginning of the first half of January, where you were still quite green.
Yep. We got a little bit of discoloration right now because we hit another low the other night without the snow blanket. But it won't be much longer. We'll start, feeding the turf, start moving forward. I'm looking forward to getting the first mow. So
there's it's up and moving. Guys in Texas, guys in Florida, even like South Georgia, they're kind of up, and the season's upon us, which is why I wanted to have you on, man. I mean, like you there's a lot of people that Well, you're like everyone that came into this because you come into this with a lot of passion. You know, you don't get going in this unless you're super passionate. You, of course, just didn't decided not to make it your career like the rest of us.
Well,
Y-
that's one thing, it could be a career tomorrow, I guess, if I wanted it to be, because I have the equipment and knowledge. But a lot of times when it turns into a career, it becomes more about getting the work done and getting paid. Where if it's a hobby, you can really dig. Like you can really
yes,
dig in and you're not so much concerned about, getting a check. You're more concerned about making it perfect, you know.
yeah. And that's what
Yeah.
you've got, that 3 acres of Artemis fescue. And
Hmm.
so let's kind of do a recap of your season. I think the other thing is that you use Earthworks products pretty much exclusively as a fertility.
Hmm.
So let's make this podcast really a nice kind of how-to and talk about what you did in this past season and how you might want to tweak it, moving forward.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So last year, I was sort of bound and determined to back off on the granulars and, really do the liquid, which no matter what I do, the C3 will be a 30-day regiment, no matter what. I fell in love
Hmm.
with that product.
What
And
what
then
why
protein.
tell me, you fell in love with it. Why? What do you see? Like, what is it about C3 that you feel so attached to it?
Well, anytime I spray C3, first I fell in love with the smell. It's unique.
It's
But
unique.
anytime I spray C3, I see a color pop.
Yes.
Um, I don't have any kind of thatch or any kind of crap down low in the canopy. It keeps
Uh-huh.
that clean. And then I feel like it just keeps me good and strong. And if we do hit a really rough patch, things recover so well. Like the
Yes.
recovery is really good. And I had a fellow laugh at me last year talking about recovery. Ha ha. Well, last year was a rough summer. It was rough, buddy.
Well, yeah, it was rough.
Um,
What was he laughing about recovery? What do you mean?
I
Like the
guess just saying, if you were really on top of your game, you wouldn't have to worry about recovery. But sometimes there's not enough water, there's not enough there whenever it's almost almost 100 degrees for 30, 40 days and there's no rain. I mean, you can irrigate, but it's not like Mother Nature's rain.
Well, plus this is our lives, right? Like, so
Hmm.
you're supposed to have a life outside of babysitting grass. Like, you're not
Yes,
supposed to,
that's true
which
too.
which is really important. Like, you might go away for a week, you might like whatever. Like, you might not want to have to babysit your turf. Like, and I feel like that's a special thing about these products and about like you're saying with C3, you really
Mhm.
keeps you out of that stress.
Yes. But last year, so my goal was to sort of back off on the granulars and roll with the Protein Plus and the C3 every 30 days.
Uh-huh.
And I done that and things were great. But then I noticed, you still with me?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you are.
Yep. But anyway, um, and the simple reason for that is, we were doing some testing with the triple three, handfuls here and handfuls there, showing that it's a non-burn product. And boy, did them places turn green. My goodness. And it just sort of showed me like, hey, I need a little more of the granulars worked into this program.
So that's what you noticed in that, like when you were just leaning heavily on liquids, like you realized that you didn't have that same foundation there. I mean, because you were also telling me even when you were using A22, you were kind of going at particularly low rates. You're like, hey, dude, I put this out at 2 pounds per thousand and I
Mhm.
see a response. It's like, yeah, you definitely see a response. It's how long does that response last, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing, like 822. I love that product because, it's got ammonium sulfate and then the rest is, your organic. So
Uh-huh.
you get a really good color pop in the front and then a slow feed behind that. And so I'm going to work, the 822 in a couple more times this year
You,
and keep my color up.
so okay, so maybe more like that 5 pound rate. And do that. You'll be, what are you shooting for? Every 6 weeks?
Probably every 6 to 8 weeks, get started with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably every 6 to 8 weeks, just keep it eased in there, and I always, my overseeding is always triple three at 10 pounds per thousand, and that has worked phenomenal for germination and just color. um, it's pretty amazing. Years ago when I started looking at this, you would look at a synthetic that was a 18, 24, 12, and then you would look at something like 333 and you'd be like, there's nothing there. How is that percentage equal? I don't know exactly how it's equal, but boy, does it work. It works.
Well, I'll tell you. Okay, actually, I've been referencing this great article lately that came out in Golf Course Industry magazine, and it was written by Dr. Fidanza, who is a professor at Penn State. Actually, just hyping up next week's podcast a little bit because Joel's going to have him on next week, which is excellent because this article's really been making turning a lot of heads, and the starting to basically the universities are really they've had advancements in microscopes, and they're able to just kind of witness a lot of this microbial activity and the interaction with the roots it's themselves. So like there's been quite an advancing in understanding of this relationship that happens in that rhizosphere, which is like that very immediate, maybe the width of a couple sand grains around each root, around that. And I mean, to answer the question, how does the 3% in the compost plus the mycorrhiza work so much better than a 24% coming out of a bag of synthetic? It's in this kind of interaction that it has with that root zone biology. And then also they kind of coined this term that I know Joel's going to ask quite a bit about, called the rhizosheath. And the rhizosheath, think of like a sheath, like a sword and a scabbard. It's that the roots have to form their own scabbard around each root, and that is the protective soil, and organic matter and humus and everything kind of combined there that protects each root, and is what allows for the plant to get through those difficult growing periods, those difficult droughty periods, because it says like if those root hairs, if the soil moisture, in that immediate rhizosphere, that immediate couple sand grains around that root hair, if that drops to a critical level, that root hair shuts down and doesn't come back, so it's kind of creating this shield around each root that only happens via this sort of interaction with biology and building humus, building soil, which of course I know you have so much firsthand experience doing at your property.
Oh man, the soil here has changed colors so much over the last couple of years. It's unreal. And I'll never forget, I think we started dealing with each other in 2018 or 2019, somewhere right around there.
I'd say 18, something
Yeah.
like that.
And my biggest, I started messing with turf in 2015,
Mhm.
the first time I seeded this place. So I had 2 acres that was already ahead of a 1 acre plot.
Right,
And
right.
that 1 acre plot was struggling so bad. And that's when I bought my first pallet of 822 and 343.
That's right. That's
And
right.
basically, a fella had put me on that was, not into marketing, didn't make a dime or anything. He just said, if you want to grow the thickest turf you've ever seen, you get these 2 products. And sure enough, he was 100% right. You know, I have noticed a major difference in turf quality, turf density. Just basically, I tell people don't put it down unless they want to mow, like unless you want to see some thick turf. And I mean, you've been here and walked. It's like walking on a comforter. I mean,
It's
it's
remarkable.
insane how
But
thick
but
it is.
yet you, like you said, like when you stick a probe in the ground, when you stick a shovel in the ground, it's not thatchy.
No.
You've munched through thatch. And you witness the whole color changing. You've built topsoil. You've
Yep.
built a topsoil.
Yeah, because when I bought this place, the biggest thing that I was thinking, I bought it because I liked this house. And then I got to thinking later on in life, I was like, I should have bought something that had better soil. I should have bought a place with better soil. And then
Yeah.
I started looking into buying, like top dressing and then doing all these things. And I even owned a top dresser at one time.
Oh
And
yeah.
I
It's a
sold it
lot of work, bro.
once I started using this product and I could put it in my Z spray or my push spreader or a chest spreader. I got rid of the other equipment because there's no need for it. You can top dress, I guess you want to say, with triple three or, your products. And then that way, man, you're just feeding the soil, things start changing. Um,
Yeah. Feeding the soil and feeding the plant to do the work of drawing that carbon dioxide in and pumping it down into the ground, sharing it with soil microbes, turning it into humus, building a topsoil and then protecting each of those plants via these rhizosheath formation, via the efficiencies that are found in that relationships that happen underneath the ground, and that's the critical environment for getting through the season or not. And basically building up your soil or depleting your soil. It's all right there. It all happens, and it happens like, with each of those products that you use, the both on the liquid side and on the granular side. It's so cool.
yeah.
You also, man, this year, just kind of a yearly recap, you were instrumental in a new development for EarthWorks, of EarthWorks for Home, particularly the 25-pound bag and the hose ends and the 1 gallon jugs. We got them going in e-commerce distributorship, DIYpestcontrol.com,
Yes, sir.
and also on Amazon. So
Yes,
all
sir.
those products are now available, at a good rate, on Amazon and DIYpestcontrol.com, which is so cool.
Yep.
They've got the ability to get it out and get it, to everybody's doorstep in a really nice, efficient manner. I'm very excited for the springtime. So those
Yeah,
are.
and with those basically four products, you can keep it super simple
Mhm,
and grow some super thick, beautiful turf,
absolutely.
and you don't need a ton of stuff. Like I say, just your 822, your 333, your Protein Plus, and your C3, and you're ready.
Yes, you're ready. Now you use that 333 also in all of your ornamentals, and you do a vegetable gardens, and what
Yes.
what do you do?
That works phenomenal with tomatoes that need calcium, peppers
Yeah,
that need calcium.
yes.
I mean, I've even used it in just planting all of my green giant thujas. Anything that I dig a hole that has roots that's getting planted
It's
gets to
going in there.
333. And I have seen a difference by pulling up some stuff or depotting some things.
Ooh.
That mycorrhiza is fairly wicked.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's active. You can see
It's
it.
there. It's there.
Uh-huh. That's way cool, dude.
Hmm. I
Um,
wish I'd have paid more attention in school. I never cared for science,
uh,
and it's pretty wild now. Like I'm trying to learn science at an old age. It's it's pretty wild.
Well, the stuff that I remember the most, from high school is all of that biology. That's the stuff that excited me the most. Like photosynthesis to me is a divine process. Like it's responsible for every little bit of life on Earth. Is all about capturing that sunlight energy and turning it into carbon. And that's like, that's part of what I love about turf, is that turf does that elementally. Like that's what grasses do. And they are so fibrous, they pump all of that energy down into the ground, build this soil. That's something we remember like from growing up as well, being taught that the Midwest was like the breadbasket of America, right? Like in that growing all that corn and everything. And it's from the millennia and millennia and millennia of grasslands that grew perennial grasses, deep, 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 great topsoil. Love it. And that's what you do, brother.
Yep. Yep. I mean, that's what I tell people all the time now that, don't buy topsoil, grow your own.
Mhm. You've seen it. You've
I've
done it.
seen. Yep. And then whenever like when I replace the sprinkler head and I post a video, everybody's got something to say about the color of the soil. Or if I'm digging a hole to plant a new tree and post it, everybody's like, my God, look at the color of that soil. Well, it wasn't like that when I started here in 2015. I can tell you that.
Oh, that's wonderful. So tell me more about what's on tap for like your lawn this year. Are you have any more projects going on?
Irrigation's going in finally, so I'll be cutting a lot of the sod off the top because I want to save that healthy turf. I don't just want to rip in there with a trencher.
No.
So once that's done, I'll cut the sod, roll it up, set it to the side, trench in my pipe. But when that goes back down, that'll give a pretty heavy dose of triple three before I lay the sod back on the soil.
Yes,
And
because you're doing
normally,
that all summer long, right? Like
mhm,
you need the best chance of it rerooting. And
I
that's
need it to latch down and come back to life. Yeah.
yeah, I mean you should keep track of it. Post some time, post some like how long it takes. I bet 4 or 5 days you start seeing that stuff tack down.
I think about somewhere between 5 and 7, and it's to where you can't pick it up anymore.
6, 7 days. That
No,
there.
not 6, 7. No, no. 5, 5 to 7. 5, 7. That
I
6, 7 stuff's overrated.
I do it every chance I can get, man. Oh, that's good. Okay, yeah, so you got that going on. That's like that's kind of the work. How much more acreage? I know because some stuff's irrigated, isn't it?
Some of the stuff right around the house is irrigated. I would say there's 12 zones already in the ground,
Uh-huh.
and I'm adding 20 to the 12. So that way the whole 1 acre field will be irrigated, and then behind the house will be irrigated.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't
Make
wait
it
because I'm
nice.
sick of dragging sprinklers and, trying to babysit big areas.
Well, that I remember that's yeah, that's what we're talking about. We don't want babysitting, we want and that's what we can do is kind of run this, let it, set it up so that it can run on its own. How, because I remember you went away this past summer and you said that's when you got banged up the most. Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
and however, nothing that you couldn't recover from pretty quickly.
Oh,
Like,
recovery, that's what I was saying where somebody thought it was funny whenever I posted pictures of recovery.
right.
I come home, we went out west. We were gone for Sunday to Sunday. We were gone 7 days.
Yeah, good
And
seven,
it
eight
was the
days.
worst time to leave. It was in July. We were almost spiking 100 degrees. I couldn't tell you the last time it had rained.
Mhm.
And I'd like to been home, sort of keeping an eye on everything. But I wasn't. So whenever we flew back into Charlotte,
Now,
and
did any of those zones run on their own or
some of them
okay.
were, and that was okay. Everything there was fine. It was the areas that, like where I've got some rocks under the ground,
Mhm.
shallow rooting. They need a little extra water, because they've only got about maybe 6, 8 inches of soil above. And when I say rocks, I don't mean a rock. I mean 18-wheeler size rocks over here.
Mhm.
And but anyway, so we landed back in Charlotte. It was 100 degrees on the tarmac or whatever they call it.
Sure.
We started heading home and I seen all the leaves falling off of trees in July. It looked like
Yeah.
it was October.
You don't want that.
I was like, this ain't good. And when I pulled in the driveway, I was sick. And basically, I started thumping some water to it. And a couple days later, we got some rain. And a week after that, you couldn't even tell anything had ever happened.
Yes.
I mean, it jumped back.
How about your EarthWorks applications? When did you, I guess,
Now,
probably.
yeah. When I come home, I did sprinkle it with a little bit of 822,
Uh-huh. And then that got rain on top of it.
and it got some protein and C3 that same day, and then we got some rain, and boy, she come
Yeah,
right
she
back
can.
to life.
Yeah, that's right. I'm recalling now. Oh, that's good. See, this is the sort of, I mean, this is the sort of stuff that you can do.
Hmm.
And yeah, and a lot of people, 18,000, pushing 19,000, have turned on to this. It's really exciting.
The people that have tried or used the 822 or the 333 are hooked.
The-
They have
Okay.
seen a difference. They're hooked, and they will be purchasing it and jumping ready to put it down this year. And
Oh, that's good.
it's something that's really crazy that you told me years ago is as you use this product, you'll need less and less, which is sort of stupid to be in business.
That's right.
But it's very true. Like as you start building the foundation, you actually can back off. You can start backing down.
Well, you saw that last year, but then you also you saw how far do you want to back down, right?
Yeah.
Like you started backing down and you're like, oh, maybe I backed down a little too far too
I got
fast.
too aggressive. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's so yeah, but you have the ability to figure that out with this
Hmm.
stuff, which is
And
really
that and
fun.
that goes back for us talking about them little numbers, that 333, and you go, it's just 3%. Well, there was a handful here and a handful there tossed down, making some corny videos about how it wouldn't burn.
That was a lot of fun.
Oh my God. Yeah, a week later, I was like, there is every spot Jack walked around. It was lit up green, and it's amazing how it works. I mean, it's amazing. And
Yeah.
a lot of people, I'll use it when I overseed, normally middle to end of October, the 333 at 10 pounds per thousand. And my color is phenomenal coming into November and stuff. It's amazing the color it makes.
Well, take pictures too this spring as it's starting to jump back out, in the next couple weeks. Like
Hmm.
take pictures and well, I know you will. You'll fly that drone, which gives you a really great perspective because like then you can compare it to other properties, see
Hmm.
the difference. Yeah, that's great. Have you used the C3 as a drench in like trees, ornamentals? Have you gotten any of that going?
No, I need to. I have not.
Do that, dude. You're flowering trees this spring. Get those, get like a good, the move there is a 1% solution. So like, in a gallon, you want somewhere around an ounce. It doesn't have to be too exact. And yeah, you irrigate that in fully into a good rule of thumb is 1 gallon of solution per 1 inch DBH, 1 inch diameter breast height of a tree.
Hmm.
So, but really it's like enough that you're going to get good uptake. And you can do that in any of your ornamentals, all your bushes, couple of 2 apps before buds set, you'll be shocked at the amount of flower buds, of
Okay.
flowers that you get out of this. So yeah,
Now, like,
that's a
now
great app.
one thing I got, my property border, or whatever, is the green giant lethusias.
Uh-huh.
So whenever I'm slinging granular or spraying C3 or whatever, I I put it right in with those. Basically they get fed about like the turf does. Now I might need to do something a little more than that for those.
Especially
So
the younger ones. Yeah. Especially
what
the
do you
younger ones.
recommend for the younger ones? Because I got some younger ones I'd like to catch up with the older ones.
Okay, so let's try that. Like I would do that same 1% solution, but do it more like twice a month,
Okay.
for this season.
Okay.
and see how that does catching up.
Put any protein plus in there or just C3?
I would just do the C3.
Okay.
Honestly, I would just do the C3 because that's also the way that you can be sure that you can use it on the thuja or anything else, because you're always safe with just C3. Protein plus the thuja would probably handle it fine, but there's going to be other plants that wouldn't handle it the same way.
Gotcha.
So I would stay with the C3.
Now I do water some of our vegetable stuff with the C3, like put a couple ounces in a 5-gallon bucket. I do water some stuff like that,
Excellent.
It gets fed with the 333.
Well, you have red buds and dogwoods, don't you, on property? Yeah, those are the trees I'm talking about, the flowering ones, because I want you to see more flowers. So
Definitely.
get after it with that. Yeah, man, that's great. And dude, I like I said, I was feeling the spring coming in, and we're, right now it's cloudy today, but we've had some nice strong sunshine, snow melting, getting really excited. I want to talk to you, dude, because because I know you get excited about this.
Oh, it ain't gonna be much longer. We'll be cutting the yellow tips off and getting after it.
Yep. Yeah, you will. Oh, that's good. All right, Olee. Well, thank you so much. We're gonna be checking in more. I'm psyched for what we've got going on with EarthWorks for Home and making that much more accessible to everybody. Our relationship with DIYpestcontrol.com is gonna be really good this year. And we appreciate everything you do for promoting these products and sharing all the knowledge with everybody. It's wonderful.
Yes, sir. Yep, we'll be doing that again this year on the Fescue Freaks and helping people find out where to pick up EarthWorks.
Yeah, and guys, get in touch with Olee because he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's got, and he can really help you out. So he'll make time for you, and you can kind of develop a relationship. Get in touch with Olee, find him on the Fescue Freaks, and talk to him. And especially all you like golf course superintendents, sports managers, lawn care guys, people that want to just meet someone that's also passionate about this stuff. Get on there at Fescue Freaks.
Yeah, do
Find
it.
Olee.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Well, thank you, Olee.
Thank you, man. I always appreciate the knowledge and the help.
Yeah, we've had fun, dude. We're gonna keep after it.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. See you all. Thank you all for tuning in to the EarthWorks podcast. Be sure to tune in next week. We've I tagged that important guest. We've got some good conversation coming up. All right, all the best.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.